Hello, fight fans. Thanks for joining us at MMA Insider. Before we get rolling with today's news, show some love by hitting that like button and subscribing. Now let's uncover the latest happenings in MMA. Starting off, Chael Sonnen explains how Alex Pereira can become the undisputed GOAT of MMA. Moving on, Ryan Garcia responds to crybaby Devin Haney after boxing suspension. Next, Team McGregor denies rehab claims made by Chael Sonnen. Moving on, Garry reacts to Conor McGregor's withdrawal from UFC 303. Next, Daniel Cormier makes a case for Alex Pereira potentially being the face of the UFC. Lastly, OMalley named his top 4 strikers in the UFC. MMA analyst Chael Sonnen has explained Alex Pereira's route to becoming one of the greatest mixed martial arts fighters of all time. Next weekend, Alex Pereira will make his return to the octagon. He will fight Jiří Procházka on short notice, defending his UFC light heavyweight championship in the process. It's the kind of act that has made him one of the most popular UFC fighters in recent memory, and it seems as if his star will only continue to rise. Of course, there are no certainties in this sport, especially against someone like Jiří Procházka. In the eyes of Chael Sonnen, though, a victory in the main event of UFC 303 could put him in a very important conversation. Here is what he said. He held the 185 pounds title and the 205 pounds title within the same calendar year. By the way, and excuse me, he is one win away from the argument of GOAT no longer being an argument. We won't even have the discussion anymore. If Pereira was to go in and get it, I don't care if it's the interim title off of Tom, or he gets it from John Jones, or however he gets it at heavyweight. If he was to get it, big if but, we don't even discuss GOAT anymore. He was the only champion that went out publicly and lobbied to get a fight at UFC 300. He's the only one that said, I'll put up the belt, I'll put it up against anybody. Boxing sensation. Ryan Garcia has sent a message to Devon Haney after his recent 1-year boxing suspension. Earlier this year, Ryan Garcia shocked the world by defeating Devin Haney. Many considered it to be one of the biggest upsets in recent memory, largely due to how Ryan was acting in the build-up to the fight. Of course, the win was soon covered in controversy as a result of Garcia testing positive for a banned substance. Since then, we've been left to wait and wonder what would happen next. It was assumed that the outcome would be overturned, and as of yesterday, that's exactly what has happened. There's no word on whether or not the two will have a rematch in the future, but either way, it puts a huge asterisk on the performance that Ryan was able to produce. Now, following the news that Garcia has been suspended for 1 year, he's taken to social media in order to give his thoughts on the decision. Here is what he said. Hey, look at this crybaby, get what he wants. I never cheated. They banned me for a year. I hate all y'all fake people. Boxing I'm going to the UFC. Team McGregor is denying the claims made by Chael Sonnen that Conor McGregor is out of UFC 303 due to a stint in rehab. It was almost a week ago that UFC CEO Dana White announced the fight between Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler was off for UFC 303, which was to have taken place on Saturday, June 29th. The reason being that McGregor had suffered an injury. Sonnen, in a video posted to X, made some bold claims about McGregor. What an incredible irony that both sides have these massive interests in alcohol, and one side is in the middle of rehab for substance abuse, including alcohol. Not that that has anything to do with this. Did it just get hot in here? Oh, it just got hot in here. Oh, the big guy just came out and said it. He wasn't supposed to talk about that. Well, PR representative for McGregor, Karen Kessler, is having none of that kind of talk about the Irishman. Here is what she said. The fight was canceled after an injury he sustained during training. He is looking forward to a new date. Mr. McGregor is with his family, and any other reports are incorrect. In response to his previous commentary, Sonnen took to his YouTube channel, seemingly to walk things back. Here is what he said. I do not know that Conor McGregor is in rehab, for one. For two, I would not begrudge or tease Conor in the least if he was in rehab. I would be very proud of Conor, and I would imagine for somebody in his spot to go into rehab is something you want to keep quiet. To do that in Ireland, I would imagine that he would have needed to humble himself greatly. UFC 303 was going to be a special moment for Garry's fighting career. Not only was the UFC welterweight contender taking another step forward in his promising career, but he was also going to be fighting in the same event as his childhood idol, Conor McGregor. McGregor, the biggest star in the history of the sport, inspired Garry to take up MMA and chase a career as a professional fighter. However, the dream to share a card with McGregor came to an end last week, as McGregor had to withdraw from his fight with Michael Chandler due to injury. Here is what he said. "The only reason I'm fighting anyone on June 29th was because I wanted to fight on the same fight card as Conor. Wanted to represent Ireland side by side with Conor and do our country proud. The two biggest stars in MMA in Ireland representing our country on the biggest stage possible. Breaking records in the UFC, which Conor already did. That's what I wanted to do." Garry still remains on the card, as he'll be taking on Michael Page in the opening bout of the pay-per-view portion of the event, which goes down on June 29th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Garry admits McGregor's withdrawal hurt, but he's optimistic that this could lead to a UFC event in Ireland. "For me to be that kid in school talking about him, to be sat on the same stage as him at the press conference, and then stepping into the same octagon as him that night, and representing our country on the biggest stage possible would have been a dream come true. I'm excited to see Conor back, and maybe, just maybe, this means we get our Ireland event. Maybe this means we get to bring it back to Ireland and we can main and co-main together." Daniel Cormier makes a case for Alex Pereira potentially being the face of the UFC. Light heavyweight champion Pereira rematches Jiří Procházka in the UFC 303 headliner June 29th main event at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Pereira will save another pay-per-view card after the original headliner between Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler was scrapped. Pereira also stepped up to headline UFC 300 against Jamal Hill in April after their bout was verbally agreed for UFC 301 in May. Cormier acknowledged that Conor McGregor still is the sport's biggest star, as well as the likes of former rival and UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones being up there. However, he points to Pereira's activity as a reason why he could be the face of the UFC. Now, it will always be hard to top Conor McGregor in regards to star power. You've still got Israel Adesanya, you've still got Jon Jones, but when I think about the face of the company, because of his durability, his activity, his willingness to fight, two-division champion, he's always present, is Alex Pereira now the face of the UFC. UFC bantamweight champion Sean O'Malley holds 3 current MMA fighters in high esteem when discussing the sport's all-time great strikers. O'Malley is expected to face Merab Dvalishvili later this year in his latest UFC bantamweight title defense. He most recently defeated Marlon Vera in the UFC 299 main event by unanimous decision after capturing the belt last August. O'Malley is regarded by many as one of the top strikers in fighting today, boxing or MMA. His recent clinic against Vera further cemented his spot as one of the toughest stand-up puzzles to solve. Sean O'Malley shared who he feels are the top 4 strikers in UFC history, including himself: Israel Adesanya, Max Holloway, Ilia Topuria, and Sean O'Malley. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Your dedication and support fuel our passion to bring you the latest and greatest in the MMA world. If you enjoyed today's news, please give us a thumbs up and share it with fellow MMA fans. Remember to subscribe to stay in the loop with daily MMA updates. We've got a lot of exciting news, interviews, and analysis coming your way every single day. Your engagement helps us grow and serve the MMA community even better. Once again, thank you for being an integral part of our daily MMA journey.